Hey everyone, it's COD here, and welcome back to the COD Zombies Retrospective series, a series in which we look back at each Call of Duty Zombies map, stories, lore, cut content, features, and much more. And today, make sure you're wearing a hazmat suit because we're taking a trip down to Black Ops 2's NUKETOWN Zombies. Launching with Black Ops 2 for Season Pass holders in 2012 or bought separately later on, NUKETOWN Zombies was a remake/remaster of Black Ops 1's multiplayer map, NUKETOWN. NUKETOWN Zombies was a complete reimagining of the multiplayer map NUKETOWN, completely just transforming it into a zombies experience. Now, NUKETOWN is definitely up there with Shipment, Terminal and Firing Range as some of the most played and iconic maps in Call of Duty history. NUKETOWN, especially in Black Ops 1, was seen as the best map in the entire game, and is not only one of the best Call of Duty multiplayer maps, but it's one of the most iconic FPS competitive multiplayer maps in any video game ever. I'd argue and say that NUKETOWN is sort of up there with Blood Gulch from Halo, for example. It's that iconic. And because of this, it only made sense that Treyarch remastered it as a zombies experience. But speaking of the development history, did you know this wasn't actually meant to be the original concept for NUKETOWN Zombies? The version that we got in Black Ops 2 wasn't the original version. So originally during development, Treyarch had planned a version of the map called NUKETOWN, instead of NUKETOWN Zombies obviously, as seen in concept art in development. In this concept art we can see more subtle changes such as different vehicles in the middle of the street, as well as a more daytime desert theming, really looking like the Nevada desert where NUKETOWN is actually set, opposed to a more one-to-one remaster apocalyptic version we saw in Black Ops 2. This version is very similar to the version that's seen in Blackout, so that's probably, the inspiration for Black Ops 4's Blackout version of NUKETOWN, but this old version of NUKETOWN was very different to the version we got in Black Ops 2, and I feel like personally for me, the version that we got in Black Ops 2 set the tone a lot better, and it ties into, the Broken Earth saga and Transit, and tying into Moon a lot better. Okay, now so talking about the story and lore. Taking place in 2025 after a broken arrow drill used for mining element 115 causes a nuclear explosion in the NUKETOWN test site in the Nevada desert. This also happens right after a typical game of multiplayer concludes in Black Ops 1. If you finish a multiplayer game in Black Ops 1, you'll get a cutscene of the nuke dropping and the entire town just being blown away. You'll see this in a short cutscene, and this was meant to tie into NUKETOWN Zombies. NUKETOWN Zombies is also very interesting because this map also occurs simultaneously with the events of Moon in Black Ops 1, which we've already covered in this series, as zombies will start off the game with yellow eyes, notifying that Samantha is in control, but once you get to a certain round, being round 25, the zombie's eye colour will change significantly to blue, meaning that Richthofen is in control of them. As players finish rounds, so things like round 3, 7, 15, etc., you can actually hear Richthofen's progress through the TV radio in one of the houses during the events of Richthofen's grand scheme, as well as the Big Bang Theory from Moon's Easter egg through the TV. Some of these quotes include things like Richthofen activating the terminal, Richthofen opening the MPD, and then finally on round 25 Richthofen will completely take control, swap bodies with Samantha, and then the zombie's eye colour will change to blue, running concurrently with the events of the Moon Easter egg. Now, in terms of story and lore, NUKETOWN is actually very important for zombies because NUKETOWN as a site also appears in Black Ops 4 as Camp Edward in the map Alpha Omega. Now in the future, Alpha Omega will get its own video in this series, so don't worry, I am going to sort of skim over a lot of the lore and events because I feel like a lot of that will be covered in the Alpha Omega video, but Alpha Omega takes place as a Broken Arrow facility, the same one in NUKETOWN Zombies, prior to what was thought to be a nuclear explosion that leveled the entire site. And in Alpha Omega, the Ultimus and Primus crews join forces and travel to Camp Edward to find the facility overrun by the undead and taken over by the Avogadro from Transit. With the help of the AI Rushmore, they defeat the Avogadro, obtain the necessary elemental shard, and then Samantha causes the nuclear explosion that actually led to Nuketown zombies. So next up we've got gameplay features. Usually this is probably the biggest section of any of these videos that I've done in the series, however Nuketown didn't really innovate or add any new features of great significance to talk about here. You actually spawn into the map in the centre as either CIA operatives or CDC agents in hazmat suits, which are the two big factions inside of Black Ops 2 Zombies. If you guys have ever played Turned or Grief or in sort of custom games on Town, you will recognise playing as the CIA and CDC operatives. This kind of sucked as at the time, as it would have been nice to play as maybe a celebrity cast or maybe, I don't know, some named soldiers or named agents, but at the end of the day, that's not what Nuketown Zombies was. It was very much meant as a bonus experience. In terms of the layout of Nuketown itself, debris and rocks block your path, making navigating and manoeuvring harder throughout the map itself, only featuring the actual middle street, two houses and their gardens on the map. The rest of Nuketown is completely cut off. I remember back in the day in Black Ops 2 when they first announced Nuketown Zombies, everyone, myself included, thought that it wasn't just going to be the multiplayer map layout, it was also going to be maybe the underground bunker as well as the rest of the houses on the street. Sadly, this wasn't the case, and this is a very faithful one-to-one OG Black Ops 1 Nuketown remaster as a zombies map. Sadly though, this makes the zombies map in terms of layout and size really small. You can't really do a whole lot on Nuketown as it was just meant as a bonus map. In the middle of the map, you also have the red truck. If you spend 3,000 points, you'll open up the truck containing a nice little layout of, key essential items that you'll need to survive in the high rounds. You'll have the Bowie knife, Semtex, claymores, the AK-74U, which is probably the best wall weapon inside of Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and finally the brand new melee weapon, the Galvanuckles. Now I have already covered the Galvanuckles in the Transit video, but since these maps came out at the same time, I don't mind covering them again. They got 6,000 points and they're a lot better than the Bowie knife, and when you melee zombies you punch them with electricity and it's just so much cooler in my opinion. However, the big key gameplay feature that Nuketown did add that's completely unique to Nuketown is the fact that all of the Perca-Cola machines as well as the Pack-a-Punch machine will spawn randomly across the map. So in terms of story and lore reasons, apparently these are actually crash landing from the moon, which doesn't really make sense since both Nuketown and Moon concurrently run at the same time, but hey ho. Depending on how many kills you get, I'm pretty sure it's around 100, you'll see a counter on the Nuketown sign in the middle of the map go down and decrease. Once you reach 100 kills, you will hear a siren as well as a nuclear alarm going off, a air raid siren if you will. Then you'll have one of the 4 perks drop, either that or Pack-a-Punch. These include Jug, Speed Cola, Quick Revive, Double Tap and of course Pack-a-Punch. Sadly though, for some reason, especially this coming straight after Black Ops 1, PhD Flopper, Deadshot, Mule Kick and the brand new perk added in being Tombstone were not added to Nuketown Zombies, and it's really odd why they weren't. Again, it just makes the map feel a lot simplistic in terms of design and layout. Transit was massive and overwhelming. I think Nuketown, on one hand is a very nice contrast to Transit because a lot of people at launch and to this day hated Transit, so people could just play Nuketown for a more, chilled out zombie classic experience. So next up, let's talk about the different appearances of NUKETOWN zombies. So we're going to start off in Black Ops 4 with NUKETOWN Island inside of Blackout. This was the Battle Royale map known as Blackout. You could actually spawn on NUKETOWN Island, and this is very much closer to the concept art version I was talking about earlier, known as NUKETOWN Zombies, where it's a bit more deserty, it's daytime, it's a lot more derelict and destroyed, and the map itself is very much opened up. You can go into all of the different houses, including the main multiplayer map itself. Not only that, but you can also go into the underground bunkers and explore around down there. These assets were later reused and sort of chopped up into a blender for Alpha Omega in Black Ops 4. Alpha Omega was a complete remake of NUKETOWN, remaking it as Camp Edward, where you play as the Ultimus and the Primus crew. And Alpha Omega as a map is very weird. Again, I'll cover it in its own video. In my opinion, it was a great remake, but at the same time, it had a lot of flaws, especially in map design. I feel like if they had opened up Alpha Omega a bit more, it would have been a great zombies experience. But Alpha Omega did add a lot. It brought the Raygun Mark II variants into play. You had electric Nova Gas crawlers as well as electric Hellhounds. You also had the AI Rushmore, who could, you could input codes in and get cool little Easter eggs doing that, as well as all brand new buildables, as well as an Easter egg boss fight with the Avogadro from Transit, where you end up actually sending him to Transit, as well as other nice little Easter eggs that tied into Transit and the Broken Earth storyline. NUKETOWN can also be played in Black Ops Cold War via the Onslaught mode. This is where you can play zombie objectives, not round based, it's just objectives, on multiplayer maps inside of Cold War, and you can actually play NUKETOWN in the 1980s on this mode, meaning that technically it is another iteration of NUKETOWN Zombies. I think that's a perfect segue onto our next section, which is Easter eggs. In NUKETOWN Zombies, there's no main quest Easter egg, which we had come accustomed to in Black Ops 1, and we even got one in Transit. But like any zombies map, NUKETOWN Zombies contains a load of little Easter eggs, references, and side Easter eggs relevant to both gameplay and the storyline. So as I mentioned earlier, you can actually hear loads of audio quotes from Richtofen from the concurrent running map being Moon. So you can actually hear Richtofen talking through the Easter egg through the TV as you're progressing in the rounds. You then get to round 25 and the zombies completely change. You have Richtofen as the demonic announcer, as well as you get a change in the fire sale jingle to Richtofens that can be heard in Moon, Buried, and etc. A very weird Easter egg at the time, which people just couldn't figure out why it was occurring and why it was happening, was the fact that you can actually hear Malton Johnson, who's one of the characters in the Broken Earth saga as well as Transit. He can be heard hiding within the bunker in the back garden of the map. In order to hear his quotes, just go up to the bunker and knife it. Every few rounds or so, you'll get a different quote. By the way, all of these quotes that Malton actually gives off are reused specifically from Transit, and according to the zombies timeline in the Chronorium, Malden actually manages to survive the rocket coming from Moon by hiding in this bunker in NUKETOWN Zombies. He also features in the bunker, hiding sort of downstairs in Alpha Omega as well, which I thought was a nice tie-in and a nice Easter egg reference. Speaking of Transit, by the way, the horn of the bus from Transit can be heard whilst playing on round 5. According to this in the Zombies storyline, Russman, who is a former Broken Arrow operative, has actually stolen the Transit bus from the abandoned Broken Arrow facility at NUKETOWN Zombies, which is a very plausible explanation for the bus horn being heard within the map. I remember back in the day, loads of YouTubers and content creators were coming up with wild theories for bus route B in Transit, and how you could take the bus from Transit to NUKETOWN and vice versa, and you would use it for a secret Easter egg ending where you could ride the bus from NUKETOWN Zombies and escape. Unfortunately, these were all just speculative theory and hoaxes. And lastly, there are 3 songs to be found in NUKETOWN Zombies, one by acting the 3 teddy bears scattered around the map, one by shooting all of the heads of the mannequins located on the map, and the 3rd, which is by taking a power-up from the power-up shed in one of the back gardens, whilst the population counter on the NUKETOWN sign reads as 15. The songs that are played are actually Samantha's Lullaby, which was the Moon intro sort of loading screen music, as well as Samantha's main theme. You also get a Dead Ops Arcade 8-bit version of Coming Home, which was the Easter egg song from Moon, as well as an 8-bit Dead Ops Arcade version of Paradolia respectively, which is the Easter egg song from Shangri-La. So next up we've got Growing Pains. These are some issues that I have with NUKETOWN Zombies and how personally I would fix them. So I think the number 1 issue with NUKETOWN Zombies are the random perks and Pack-a-Punch. The big issue here is that Juggernog and Pack-a-Punch, and sometimes if you're playing on co-op Quick Revive, cannot spawn in potentially until round 25, which is really down to RNG and extremely annoying. I've had quite a few games, especially recording for this video in B-roll footage, where I haven't actually got Jug until about round 20, round 25, which on one hand makes it an excellent challenge map where you have to really test yourself, and then again you're going back into sort of the classic Zombies World at War mindset where you don't have Jug, it's 2 hit down, you've got to be very careful. However, when you're using things like the ray gun and you can splash damage yourself, it becomes incredibly annoying and incredibly difficult. And again, one way I would have fixed this is by having maybe fixed perks on the map, or maybe perks can spawn in at certain rounds, maybe Jug spawns in at round 10 for example. And again, I really do think this map should have included Mule Kick, Deadshot, PhD Flopper and Tombstone, being that it's the brand new shiny perk, as well as the fact that I really do think, if they're going to add all of these new perks, especially, Deadshot, PhD, Tombstone, etc., they really should have opened up the map more, including the main street, as maybe as well some of the underground bunker. I wasn't really too bothered about that back in the day. It was more so the fact that you could see the rest of NUKETOWN, but you were barred off from it, and I think if they had maybe opened it up maybe to the other street where you go down the middle, I feel like NUKETOWN Zombies would have been much more well received and a better map, especially with contrasting with Transit at launch. Okay, so next up is Trivia Time. This is the section of the video where I talk about some cool facts you may not have known about NUKETOWN Zombies. Did you know, in the loading screen, you can actually see a massive drill digging into the ground. A version of this drill from NUKETOWN Zombies can actually be seen in blueprints in the map's Origins, Buried, as well as a cipher mentioning it in Gorod Crowthy by Stanley Ferguson in Mob of the Dead and Blood of the Dead, saying that it used to draw energy and it was known as the 115 extraction drill, which can also be seen in the map Classified. Specifically talking about the Chronorium now, but did you know, the timeline actually details that Broken Arrow used an excavator to drill near NUKETOWN Zombies in a desperate need for more Element 115 to fight the Ascension group as well as Group 935 and become potentially controlling the zombies. This then leads to the detonation of the nuclear bomb at the test site at Camp Edward. Also they fought. The drill also returns in a renewed version of the loading screen, which can actually be seen in the Black Ops 4 Zombies comic books by Dark Horse Comics, where it can be fully seen coming out of a giant dome. In this alternate version of the loading screen found in the comics, in both versions a man can be seen connected by a cable to the drill, as well as a secret little gum Easter egg detailing an Aztec god in the bottom left. And lastly, did you know, the clock in the middle of the map actually counts down as you're playing, changing the power up inside of the partially destroyed shed in the back garden of the yellow house. If you pay 3,000 points to open up the shed's door to acquire it, you can actually get a variety of little Easter eggs, especially one of the Easter egg songs that I mentioned earlier, if picked up whilst the counter and the timer are at round 15. Did you know NUKETOWN Zombies also features a map exclusive weapon, that being the M27 from Black Ops 2. This is the only zombies map that this weapon appears in. It doesn't appear in Transit, Mob of the Dead, Buried, Origins, none of them. For whatever reason, Treyarch chose NUKETOWN Zombies to have this exclusive weapon on this exclusive map. And overall, it's quite a good weapon. It's really good range-wise and ammo-wise. However, it does drop off when you sort of get into the late 20s and 30s. But as a weapon to sort of have just as a point-hoarding weapon before you get a wonder weapon, it's a certainly viable option, and it kind of makes people wonder, why didn't Treyarch re-add this weapon into the rest of the Black Ops 2 map? So in conclusion, NUKETOWN Zombies at the time was a much smaller map and experience, and it was only meant as a bonus map for those who had pre-ordered as well as got the collector's edition for Black Ops 2 as well as the season pass. NUKETOWN Zombies was also a bridge for the casual fans who had played the multiplayer map in Black Ops 1. NUKETOWN does tie nicely into the zombie storyline. It's not just a one-off experience that Treyarch just dumped and left there as a bonus map. It really does tie into the storyline of the Chronorium quite nicely, also running its events concurrently with the events of the Moon Easter egg. I feel like NUKETOWN Zombies does a really good job at catching players up to why the announcer voice is suddenly changed from Samantha to Richtofen, as well as explaining what happened to the world itself alongside Transit, as well as much more that has changed under Richtofen's control and how the rockets actually got to the Earth. You guys have to remember, a lot of people didn't do the Moon Easter egg, and a lot of casual fans that are playing it for the first time are probably very confused when playing Transit. But at this point in time, Zombies had grown and evolved past being just another simple mode and bonus mode. Maps such as Moon, Shangri-La, Call of the Dead, Ascension that we've all covered in this series showed that Zombies was getting bigger and more complex with each iteration. And NUKETOWN kind of went back in time and reverted back to the old classic World at War designed maps, being smaller in size, only featuring the original 4 perks from World at War, Pack-a-Punch, and then not even featuring a small main quest Easter egg, as well as many more features that were just scrap. But again, when put next to Transit, NUKETOWN Zombies is a very nice contrast, being a simple map compared to Transit's big, sprawling, complex mess. And overall, I do enjoy NUKETOWN. It's definitely not one of my favourite maps, however, I do like to come back and play NUKETOWN Zombies sometime. The ambience and the setting, seeing the ash and the nuclear fallout, and just the quietness without really a soundtrack in the background, it just really adds to the experience, and it's something that I definitely miss from the Broken Earth saga. Anyway everyone, thank you so much for watching the video today. For more videos, I'll have a couple on screen now as well as the end card of this video. In the COD Zombies Retrospective series, don't forget I've done maps like Transit and Moon that tie into NUKETOWN Zombies quite nicely, so if you guys want to check those out, I'll definitely recommend those videos. Thank you so much for watching the video today. Stay safe, don't forget to like, share and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.